यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जायोम विष्णुपाद परमहंसपति विराजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सस्ती श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय शरण अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय गौर प्रेमानंदी all glorious assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Canto 3, Chapter 8, text number 7. Proktam kila etad bhagavatamena nivritti dharma abhirataya tena sanat kumaraya saha cha aha prishtaha sankhayanaya anga dritavritaya प्रोक्तम किलैतेद भगवतमेन निवृत्ति धर्माभृताय तेन सनत्कुमाराय स चाह पृष्टः सांख्ययानायंग धृतव्रताय प्रोक्तं किलैतेद् भगवतमेन निवृत्ति धर्माभृताय तेन सनत्कुमाराय स चाह पृष्टः संख्याय यानांग धृतवृत्ताय प्रोक्तं किलैतेद् भगवतमेन निवृत्ति धर्माभृताय तेन सनत्कुमाराय स चाह पृष्टः सांख्ययानाय अंग धृतव्रताय प्रोक्तां किलैतद् भगवत्तमेन निवृत्ति धर्माभृताय तेन सनत्कुमाराय स चाह पृष्टः संख्यायनायांग धृतव्रताय तमेन निवृत्ति धर्माभृताय तेन सनत्कुमाराय स चाह पृष्टः संख्यायनायांग धृतव्रताय. Ladies, प्रोक्तं किलैतेद् भगवत्तमेन निवृत्ति धर्माभृताय तेन सनत्कुमाराय स चाह पृष्टः सांख्यायनायांग धृतव्रताय. Proktam was said, Kila, certainly, etad, this, Bhagavatamena, by Lord Shankarshan, Nivritti, renunciation, Dharma Abhirataya, unto one who has taken this religious vow. Tena, by him, Sanat Kumaraya, unto Sanat Kumar, Saha, he, Cha, also, Aha, said, Prishtaha, when inquired of, Sankhya Naya, unto the great sage Sankhyayana Anga, my dear Vidura, Dhritavritaya, unto one who has taken such a vow. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Lord Sankarshan thus spoke the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam to the great sage Sanat Kumar, who had already taken the vow of renunciation. Sanat Kumar also, in his turn, when inquired of by Sankhyayana Muni, explained Srimad Bhagavatam as he had heard it from Sankarshan. Purport. This is the way of the Parampara system. Although Sanat Kumar, the well-known great saintly Kumar, was in perfect stage of life, still he heard the message of Srimad Bhagavatam from Lord Sankarshan. Similarly, when he was questioned by Sankhayana Rishi, he spoke to him the same message he had heard from Lord Sankarshan. In other words, unless one hears from the proper authority, one cannot become a preacher. In devotional service, therefore, 2 items out of the 9, namely hearing and chanting, are most important. Without hearing nicely, one cannot preach the message of Vedic knowledge. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Shahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very appropriate purport of Srila Prabhupada for the upcoming beautiful festival of Sri Janmashtami and Prabhupada Appearance Day, when His Divine Grace is stressing that any day can be made more beautiful, or rather any festival can be made even more beautiful by just 2 processes. Just 2 processes. How simple and how sublime is the Acharya's understanding. 2 processes are Shravanam and Kirtanam. That alone, of course, prasadam is included in between all that. But primarily, Shravan Kirtan is the feast for the ears. It is called as Bhavanti Rita Karna Rasayana. Right? The real prasadam for the soul and the ears is the Rasayana of Hari Katha and Hari Kirtan. So, in this world, and people are always talking. People talk, right? Conversation, communication is a way of life. Either you talk physically or you talk on social media, whatever else. But people are hearing and talking. So that hearing and talking goes on. But the beautiful thing is that the moment, and of course that all ultimately goes in the category of what is called as prajalpa, right? But the beautiful thing is that the same hearing and talking, which is a normal part of life, when somebody is talking and somebody is hearing, and when he talks, somebody else is hearing, and so that hearing, talking is going on. That is called as communication. But the moment that hearing, talking comes with Krishna in the center, that becomes such a powerful transcendental process, right? And becomes a much glorified activity in the bhakti school, hearing and chanting, Shravanam and Kirtanam, right? And we find here, this particular canto, we find two great personalities talking, right? What are they talking about? It is Uddhavji, and it is Maitreya Rishi and Uddhav, Vidura and Maitreya. And previously in the same canto was Vidura and Uddhava. When Uddhava meets Vidura, what do they do? They talk and hear about Krishna. When Maitreya Rishi meets Vidura, what do they do? They talk and hear about Krishna. When Mahaprabhu Chaitanya and Gadadhar Pandit meet, what do? They hear and talk about Krishna, right? So that we do not need more proof. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is loud and clear that whenever intelligent, devoted, sincere, God-devoted, Krishna-devoted Vaishnavas meet, that is the primary activity they perform. In fact, Krishna himself is attracted to Krishna Katha. Krishna is attracted to Krishna Katha. And the proof is Lord Jagannath. When he is standing at Dwarkapuri and Subhadra Maya is apparently guarding like this, and then Harikatha is going on, and none other than Mother Rohini, she is considered as the best among women. She is the most exalted of all women, is considered Rohini, right? As per Anandavan Champu. Anyway, so she is talking about Braj Leela, and all the queens are just in rapt attention, right? And who's attracted? Our two brothers, Krishna and Balram, are attracted. And from wherever they have been in the whole city, they get drawn, pulled, attracted like a magnet, and they just come and stand there. And even they are, and what they're talking about? They're talking about them. What Krishna and Balram are doing as a child. And they get attracted, and they get into raptures of ecstasy, and that leads to the formation of the Jagannath Shri Vigraha. So, not only Vaishnava, but the Lord himself is attracted to his own Leela, right? And therefore Krishna has endorsed, again in the Gita, that Tushyanti cha, Ramanti cha. Everything about Krishna is Ananda Pradayini. Because Krishna is the Swarupa of Ananda. And the whole world is looking for Ananda. Right from the insignificant bacteria to the highest of all gods, Lord Brahma and Indra, and everybody in between in the 84 lakh species looking for only one thing. Only one thing. We may say looking for food or shelter, but actually looking for only one thing. And what is that? Ananda. Looking for Ananda. And that is the equalizer among all species. There's a commonality in all species because the inherent soul is looking for Ananda. Right? But here, Srila Prabhupada is so wonderfully that among all the books he could have given, practically the first book he could print and distribute was Krishna, the Reservoir of Pleasure. How very significant is that the Acharya thought this is the main book to give to the world. It does not mean that Krishna has all the pleasure with him and he distributes some pleasure to some people. It is not like a reservoir of tank on the big floor and it contains 100 million gallons of water and then it distributes it to various societies. It is not like that. That he has all sole proprietorship and he just distributes something. He himself is Ananda. It's like the sun. The sun is not that the sun has all the light and it keeps on distributing some light. The sun is intrinsically just light. And at all times it is just shining with light. Similarly, Krishna is simply just exuding what? Ananda. Right? When you do kirtan, it is kirtanananda. Right? When you have his darshan every day in the morning, then it is darshanananda. Right? When you see his temples from far, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw his temple right from far, from Atharnala, then it was just darshan of the chakra and he went into Ananda. Not Ananda, he went into ecstasy. Right? Then when you serve Krishna, there is Sevananda. When you hear his katha, it is Harikathamrita Ananda. Right? So everything about Krishna, well, of course, Prasadam, we did not say it again and again, but I'm sure we understand. So everything about Krishna, we need to understand this very clearly, that everything about Krishna is saturated with this component of Ananda. And therefore, the only way you can go into Nirananda is just get disconnected with Krishna. And there you are in the ocean of Nirananda. Therefore, in the earlier part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, this same canto, this is the seventh sloka. Earlier it was said that this world is described in this particular word, canto, chapter as Shulla Shukhaya Mahad Dukhaya. Shulla Shukhaya Mahad Dukhaya. Insignificant pleasure and massive amount of displeasure and suffering. And the process is so simple, right? And therefore, the beauty of Harikatha, Prabhupada stresses so much. Among all the qualities of Krishna, there are 5 primary rasas and there are, of course, 7 secondary rasas. There is very wonderful aspect of Krishna where he shows his rasa of chivalry, which we'll just touch to some extent very superficially today. Because it's very beautiful how Krishna really, when he exhibits the power of his chivalry, it's called as Veera Rasa. The difference between Vrindavan and Mathura and Dwarka is that in Vrindavan, Krishna fights with one demon at a time. Keshi, Arisasura, Putana, Pralambasura, and of course, Kaliya. The one is to, like a 1:1 duel. The moment he goes to the Mathura, a little more, and there is Chanura and Mustika and Shala and Toshala, like that, a little more. But the moment he starts staying at Mathura Dham, then he's grown up. Krishna is now 10 years and more. He stays, apparently the Vaishnava Panchika says that he stayed in Mathura for about 18 years. But now Krishna has to face powerful demons like Jarasandha. And there he reveals actually his true strength. In Vrindavan, he just playfully kills Keshi and others, but here he shows his true power of chivalry. Imagine more than Mahabharata, 11 and 7 Akshonis, 18 Akshonis, right? For the entire Mahabharata, which is like crores of people died. Prabhupada laments that I think 64 crores or some huge figure like people died, right? But here is Jarasandha at first attempt bringing 23 Akshonis. In one Akshoni, there are something like 109,000 soldiers. So here is Krishna and Balaram wondering how to do this. As just Krishna and Balaram are just thinking, from Vaikuntha comes down Krishna's own chariot. And with his celestial weapons and his unlimited quiver and his celebrated bow. Right? And when it comes down, Krishna mounts that. And it says he goes out of Mathura and there's a whole ocean. You can imagine when there are 23 Akshaonis, how many elephants and how many cavalry, how much of infantry, right? There's a whole ocean. And Mathura is not like a huge country. Mathura is, even at that time, 5,000 years ago, it's like a huge city, right? But whole thing is surrounded by one powerful demon. And Krishna goes out of Mathura to protect the Mathuravasis. It says with a handful of soldiers, means 10 or maybe 15, right? And then he starts. And within a few hours, Krishna is fighting with such power. Now, among all archers, Arjuna is the best. Partha is the benchmark of. And when he would fight, and of course he took 18 days to kill all these demons, Kaurava side. But Krishna is, in a few hours, the way he would fight like a firebrand. There are 4 steps to firing. You mount the bow, you pull out the bow, you mount it, you pull it, and you just release it. There are 4 steps to shooting. And Krishna would do it at such massive speed. In a few hours, 23 Akshaonis. And the way it describes the gory picture, right? Rivers of blood. And like small islands, the elephants are just wobbling in that blood. And like sharks, the horses are just floating in that blood. Right? It's a very gory picture, right? But Krishna did this in a matter of few hours. That is power of Krishna's fighting. He can fight with such... When Ramchandra fought, he fought with 14,000 people at Janmashtami in 1 hour. But probably Krishna exceeded that. Even though they're the same personality, Krishna exceeded that much more. And then each time Jarasandha brings 23 Akshaonis, he could easily kill Jarasandha. Right? But imagine the burden of the earth. We may think Kali Yuga is burdened with demons. But nothing less was there at the end of Dwapar Yuga also. Each time, let us multiply 23 by 17. And how many soldiers is that equal to? And each time Jarasandha could mobilize so many soldiers who are all demonic people who are against Vishnu and Krishna. How much is that number? Right? And after that, the Kurukshetra war. So whole earth, how much burden was there of demonic personalities? Millions of people were against, millions upon millions, billions of people were against the Lord. And atheistic. Krishna fought all of them. But he did not kill Jarasandha. That he left to whom? He left to Bhimsen. Right? So, of course, Krishna is another Veera Rasa is, he likes to fight. Krishna likes to fight, let's face it. He loves to fight, right? He loves to do everything. He likes to do Makanchori, but he also loves to fight. And then he fights with his devotees sometimes. So there's a big fight that took place at Tejpur in Assam, which is Pragjyotispur, when he fought with Banasur. And there in this fight, his dearest devotee, Lord Shiva, comes in. And their fight takes place with Narayan Jwara and a Shiva Jwara takes place, right? There's another powerful fight. But one of the most finest fights, 28 days fight, is when he fights with his dearest devotee, Jambavan. Veera Rasa at its best. 28 days from morning sunrise to sunset. 2 fights for 28 days. One was Jarasandha's fight with Bhimsen, with Krishna concluded by, both were almost equal. Jarasandha thought it would be an easy match, Bhimsen. But Bhimsen was extremely powerful. Of course, he is empowered by Krishna. And then the twig Krishna takes and bifurcates that. And of course, Bhimsen gets the clue and then he bifurcates. Jara, the demoness, had put 2 parts of this Jarasandha was born of 2 different queens. Half from this queen and half from that queen. Right? And seeing that ghastly personality born of 2 halves, the king had thrown, Rasa had thrown him into the jungle. And Jara comes and says, this is nice. And then she returned this son to Rasa, and he became very powerful. And of course, Bhimsen again brought him back to his to his original birth situation by putting him back to his state what he was, right? But his joy was when he fought with Jambavan. Jambavan, even though he is a Ramayana personality, in fact, he is even much before Ramayana also. It is said he is one of the oldest personalities, Jambavan. And yet he had inexhaustible physical strength, right? And therefore, when he fought with Krishna, that place is so beautiful. Some of our devotees had gone there. I had the pleasure of going there also. In that same cave where Jambavan fought with Krishna, that's a very special cave, right? Highly recommended type of place to go, right? And 28 days, Jambavan is pounding Krishna's body. And Krishna is what? He is enjoying it, right? How wonderful is Krishna that somebody is beating him with complete strength. Now Jambavan can hit the Himalayan mountain and pulverize it. That is Jambavan's power. He can just hit one blow on the Himalayan mountain and he can raise it down. That is Jambavan's power, right? And with the same power is pounding Krishna's body, and Krishna is enjoying that. What is the nature of Krishna's enjoyment? How wonderful is Krishna, right? Because that is coming from his dear devotee, right? And then he realizes, oh, Jambavan said, this person cannot be other than my beloved Lord. Who can withstand the power of my fists and my kicks and my wrestling prowess? Other than my beloved Lord. And he surrenders. Of course, Krishna had a reason. He also had the chance to take away Jamavati, become one of his principal Ashta queens. Right? So in this way, Krishna takes Ananda. So all his leelas are such beautiful Ananda. Everything about Krishna is filled with this Rasa. Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya. This is a beautiful phrase to describe Krishna. I mean, we hear it every day, right? Ananda Chinmaya Sada Ujvala Vigraha, right? So everything about Krishna is filled with that Ananda. And he is completely conscious. Chinmaya is conscious, fully pure, and always brilliantly shining with positivity, with kindness, with love, with magnanimity. That is Krishna's wonderful nature. Of course, the wonderful part about Krishna's Leela, which he manifested in the land of Braja, where he shows he gives pleasure to the devotees by showing his infinity. One of Krishna, then we chant in the Damodar Ashtakam prayers, Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu. So there is a beautiful Leela where actually Krishna showed Ananta Vishnu, which happened in Vrindavan. That is very beautiful to remember. It just happened few days back on Balram Leela, Balram Jayanti, the day of Brahma Vimohan Leela. Right? Now that Leela is known to us. The point which I want to highlight is when Brahma takes away the calves and the covered boys, Krishna duplicates each covered boy and each calf. Now, how many covered boys were there? These are some unbelievable facts given in our scriptures. How many covered boys were there? Now, in Vedic parlance, they have their own calculation system. There is Eka, Dasha, Shata, Sahasra, then Ayuta, then Laksha, then Niyata is 1 million. Then Koti, of course, 1 crore. Arbuda is 10 crores. Then there is Vrinda is 1 billion. And Kharva is 10 billion. And Shanka is 100 billion. Then Sagara is 10 raised to 15. It's called as quadrillion. Now, according to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, the chapter where Kaviraj talks about Krishna's opulence and sweetness, it is said the number of cowherd boys was something like 1 quadrillion. 1 quadrillion cowherd boys. Hare Krishna. Right? That's how amazing it was. And each one, and this is not enough to, if this is enough, if this is shocking and amazing, it doesn't end here. Each cowherd boy had quadrillion calves. So quadrillion cowherd boys having quadrillion calves, all in Vrindavan. Right? This is Krishna. When you say, sometimes when you say the word Ananta, we say Ananta so many times. Krishna is Ananta Shayana. But the word Ananta has profound, deep opulences of Krishna, which are deeply embedded in that word of Ananta. Right? So, when of course, Brahmaji steals them, and then each cowherd boy becomes Krishna. Right? Exactly same dress, same mannerism, same talk, same dress, same type of flute, right? Same type of dress, hairstyle, same type of turban, exactly same. All quadrillions of Krishnas for one full entire year. And when Brahma comes to surrender, when he realizes what is happening here, right? At that time, each cowherd boy turns into Vishnu. Right? So now there are how many Vishnus? Quadrillions of Vishnus. Ananta Vishnu. Namo Deva Damodar, Ananta Vishnu. And of course, he is not alone. Vishnu is never alone. Around each Vishnu. Now, if we think we have fertile brains, which I think all of us think we have, because of our inherent false ego, then we need to imagine, if we have to apply our brains, why not apply our brains in understanding Krishna, who is ununderstandable, and yet can we try to understand him, right? So around each Vishnu are all the demigods. And around each Vishnu there are so many Brahmas. And around each Vishnu there are so many Shivas, right? And all are there in the sky. And Brahma is looking at all of this, and he just puts his 4 heads down and said, I cannot understand you. You are like the sun, and I am like the firefly. In front of you, my tejas, like the firefly, is completely occluded. Right? So he confesses his... So Kaviraj Goswami says that neither Brahma can understand him. So maybe higher than him, maybe Shiva can understand Krishna. So he says, no, Shiva cannot. Higher than him, Kaviraj Goswami says, is Ananta Shesha, who has thousands of hoods. Right? Even he cannot understand and elaborately understand Krishna. But Kaviraj did not stop there. Neither are Sanat Kumaras, nor Brahma, nor Shiva. And then it says here, Krishna has got a beautiful name. Sarvagya Shiromani Sri Krishna. Such a nice name of Krishna. Sarvagya Shiromani. Beautiful name of Krishna is given here. Right? Sarvagya. We have Sarvagya Gauranga, we have Sarvagya Krishna. Sarvagya, among all the Sarvagyas who may be there could be many Sarvagyas, possibly. But among all Sarvagyas, Krishna is Sarvagya Shiromani. Sarvagya Shiromani Sri Krishna, Nija Gunera Napai. Nija Gunera Napai. Even Krishna himself cannot understand his own greatness. Right? That is the Krishna which we all worship. And that's why it is so wonderful. Right? So in this way, Krishna is Ananta. And among, if you say Krishna is the source of all Ananda and he is Ananta, his greatest Ananda, when you think of Krishna as enjoyer, we may think of the materialists who start enjoying, they enjoy, they go here, they go there, and they have big parties and stay in big mansions and palaces and buy this and buy that, and they're just enjoying, right? So that's the type of enjoyment which the world sees, and we may carry that impression of enjoyment, that he's like unrestricted indulging. So unrestricted indulgence is equal to enjoyment of the material world. But Krishna is not like an enjoyer like that, right? He is not just enjoying like that. Krishna's highest ananda is in giving ananda to his devotees. Not in grabbing ananda. The sense of enjoyer is just grabbing ananda for himself. I am the enjoyer. And he's desperate to enjoy. Right? Years ago, Radha Maharaj had given a understanding that how there was a gentleman in America who was going to die. Right? And but he was a multi-millionaire even at that time. Way before these millionaires came. And so he decided that now that I'm going to die, I'm going to enjoy. So he started going to this place and this hill station and this 7-star hotel and this place and this dancing club. And he became so popular, they started videoing him. And his program was telecast on the television every week of what he is doing to enjoy with his unlimited wealth. It became a very popular program, right? People were saying, oh, yeah. And they must be all wondering, when can I enjoy like him, right? Out of envy. But Krishna's enjoyment is so beautiful. It doesn't generate envy. It generates love. Krishna's enjoying tendency generates love, right? Because his ananda is in giving pleasure, not in taking pleasure. For example, in the Mahabharata war, what is his pleasure? He is in a rigorous fight, driving the chariot of Arjuna, and it's a tough job. It is not easy driving a chariot in the midst of all these massive fighting. It is a tough job. And Krishna is working hard, right? But he's just playing the role of a charioteer as a sarthi. But at some times, and he plays a more active role. When is necessary to play a more active role, he plays a more active role. And that is more pleasure giving to Krishna's devotees. That particular fateful day, when Abhimanyu was killed by 7 Maharathis, right? In a merciless manner, he was butchered practically. Because he was invincible. Even he was a 16-year-old boy with his first debut of war, he was invincible. Nobody could kill him. He was fighting with such ferocity, such valor, such chivalry, such power. Nobody could defeat him. And therefore they resorted to, illicit techniques to kill him. Went against Kshatriya courts. And 7 Maharathis surrounded him. One broke his bow. Somebody smashed him from behind and hit his spine. And then he took a wheel and somebody smashed his wheel and finished. And that angered Arjuna very badly. He took a vow, I will swallow fire if I do not finish off this person called as Jayadratha. Because Abhimanyu had cut through the Chakra Vyuha, which is an impenetrable organization of military phalanxes by an expert person like Dronacharya. Nobody could cut it. Right? But Abhimanyu could cut it, but he didn't know how to come out of it. So when Bhimsen tried to enter the way created by Abhimanyu, Jayadratha stopped Bhimsen. Right? Because he had this vow, he was also getting a vow. He could do this. So Arjun vowed to kill Jayadratha. So on this fateful day, the only thing the Kauravas wanted to do is to stop Arjuna from reaching Jayadratha. So everything was planned in such a way that only this one person is to be protected. That's all. The whole army does one thing, just protect this one person from dying till sunset. And if that happens, Arjuna consumes fire. If Arjuna consumes fire, it demoralizes the Pandavas and everything is over. Finished. And the kingdom is ours. The whole world is ours. And on that day, Arjuna became like Yamraj. He just started chopping off people with such power. is moving at such speed. Such speed. Neither Karna, nor Dronacharya, nor Kripacharya, he was unstoppable. Arjuna was fighting with umpteen determination to reach his goal. And Arjuna is a man with unlimited power of determination. Now, while that is going on, and Arjuna is not going to tire on this day. There is no question of drinking a drop of water or drinking a morsel of food. He is going to fight. But the horses need some water. Horses were tired. And so Krishna tells Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, the horses will take you there. The horses are dehydrated. They will fall. They will fall in between. So take a break, not for yourself, but for the horses. So Arjuna creates a band of arrows and then takes the horses inside and puts an arrow and creates water supply. And imagine how many arrows were being taken on the body of the horses. Everyone was trying to kill Krishna and Arjuna, right? But obviously all the arrows are not going to Krishna and Arjuna only. And those horses are getting, and they're bleeding, right? How many wounds the horses had? Sometimes we don't even think about the horses, but they had unlimited wounds on their body, right? And Krishna, how wonderful! Tava kara kamala vare nakha. That beautiful lotus-like hand of Krishna, which was on the head of Prahlad Maharaj. That beautiful hand of Krishna, which is so wonderful. It is now caressing the wounded bodies of the horses. And the horses are feeling complete resolution of all pain. All pain gone, all the wounds healed, and then drinking the water. And again, they're ready to serve their Lord and Master, their Lord Krishna, and his dear devotee Arjuna. Horses are ready, right? Said, yes. I'm sure Krishna could communicate with the horses as he could communicate with the parrots. They were ready for the march. And they are going to top speed. Only half an hour is remaining. Half an hour. Only half an hour before sunset. And they were almost feeling that now the victory is close by. And Duryodhana says, march! And cover Arjuna with arrows. So now all the Maharathis, they practically put a barrage of a mountain-like arrows on Arjuna. Mountain-like. Now when a mountain is in front of you, you cannot see obviously. You're a small man of 7 feet, 8 feet, and the whole mountain in front of you. What can you see beyond the mountain? So entire mountain of arrows is created in front of Arjuna. Right? But Arjuna is dauntless. He keeps on chiseling through the mountain. Right? Because he had to see Jayadratha before he can shoot an arrow towards him, right? But he cannot see him. There's a mountain in front of him. Krishna realizes that however powerful Arjuna is, it's humanly impossible to read Jayadratha. And Krishna creates, this is his Ananda. Krishna's Ananda is in saving his devotees' vow, right? More than his own vow is the vow of his dear devotee. He will do anything. He will do anything. Go to any extent. No price is enough. Right? And he creates instant solar eclipse. His chakra just flies in the sky and occludes the sun. And then there is darkness. Right? There's darkness. And now we can imagine the ecstasy, if we can call the word ecstasy for the Kauravas. Sometimes you should put the word ecstasy for them also. Right? Ecstasy of the Kauravas. They must have gone berserk and wild in happiness. Right? The war is over. Arjuna is dead. Kingdom is ours. All rivalry finished. We are the winners. Man of the match is Jayadratha. Right? They were in ecstasy, jumping, screaming, wild in happiness. And when you're doing that, the arms are, you are off guard. Everything, just lay down the arms and just jumping and dancing. Said, the war is over. And Krishna just takes out. Now, a few minutes still remaining. And before And while the eclipse was on, Krishna tells Arjun became despondent. Hey, what happened? He says, keep your bow ready and string the bow and use the bow given to you by Lord Brahma. Okay? And I'm going to remove this eclipse and you will see Jayadratha now clear as the sky. You will see him. Shoot. Right? And now, when the mountain was clear, no fog, nothing, he sees Jayadratha straight there. But Krishna told him, don't let his head fall on the ground. Let it fly across and let it land in the lap of his father. Because he's taken a vow that anybody who makes the head of my son fall to the ground, his head will shatter into 1,000 pieces. So let it fall in the lap of his father. And when his father is meditating and falls on his lap, he sees some bloody head is coming to his lap from nowhere. He just puts the head and puts it on the ground. Ek pan do kaj. Krishna can do many things at one time, right? He's expert. So he puts his head on the ground and blast on his head and he finished. So Krishna takes active participation at some times in the war. Another time he took active participation, and this is really Ananda for the devotees, right? When he had to fight with not Jayadratha, but he had to deal with Bhishma Dev. What is the nature of the love of Bhishma and Krishna? Here is a pure Bhagavat Mahapurusha, right? Who is one of the 12 Mahajans. What is the love of a Mahajan for his Lord? Right? We cannot understand that. And yet this Mahajan Vaishnava is on the opposite side. And he is not just an ordinary Sarthi. He is again the most powerful warrior of his times, even more than Arjuna. And almost equal to Parshuram, who's God himself. That is the power of Bhishma Dev. Nobody can defeat Bhishma. Nobody can kill him because he has Shantanu's blessings. His Ichamruti was there. Who can kill Arjuna? Right? Krishna intervenes. He said, Arjuna, go and tell him, ask him, how can we kill you? And Bhishma Dev is so happy. If somebody were to tell us how to kill you. We cannot even imagine what will be our reaction. And Bhishma is very happy. Because why is he happy? Because he knows behind this is his beloved Lord. He has sent Arjuna to the camp. Because he had taken a vow to kill the Pandavas with 5 arrows. Arjuna says, can I have those arrows? Bhishma is very happy to give those arrows, right? Bhishma is so chivalrous. Anyway, the story is beautiful and very detailed. But now, having given out the arrows, Bhishma has been instigated to the limits by Duryodhana. And he has instigated the wrong side of Bhishma Dev, apparently. And he's got a Kshatriya anger now, right? And he fights with such power, and practically half the Pandavas are finished. How the army is finished by one person. And one person finished, half army is finished. And if he goes on like this for some more time, the whole army is finished. Bhishma Dev is alone enough to destroy everybody. You don't need anybody else. That was his power. Right? And then Bhishma has decided that I will make Krishna break his vow. We're talking about this principle of Ananda here, right? What is the table of Ananda between Krishna and his devotees? What is the Adan Pradan going on here? It's not sense gratification or sensual pleasures, nothing of that sort. Krishna's Ananda is protecting his devotees. And Vishwa's Ananda is making Krishna break his vow. What type of Ananda is this? Right? This is Paramananda, not Ananda. And now Bhishma is going to kill Arjuna. And Arjuna is, however powerful he is, When Bhishma attacks, tack, with one hand, his hand gets stuck to the pole of the, this flag post. His hand just gets stuck. He's stuck so badly with any of his power, he cannot pull it out. So how can he? So he cannot wield his gandiva anymore. Another bow, tack. So both hands are gone. He's helpless. He's finished. It's like hands up, it's gone. Khatam. Right? And then one more arrow will be enough to finish Arjuna. Tack! It would be gone. Right? At that exact time, Krishna takes the wheel. He was not supposed to take any weapon. That was his vow. Right? I will just be the play role of a Sarathi. I vow. Honest vow, a man of honor. Right? But Krishna can break his own honor for his Vaishnavas. He's not like ordinary. And then he, like a lion, just full speed, he just attacks Bhishma. Right? And Bhishma just puts down his hands. And then it is sunset. Then it is sunset, right? Bhishma surrenders. And then at the time of death, Bhishma remembers all that. So beautiful. And so this is Krishna's Ananda. His love for his devotees and how he protects them. This is his constant love and anxiety. How to protect, how to support his devotees. Right? And therefore, hearing these beautiful pastimes of Krishna's love for his devotees, we can scarcely even imagine how much love Krishna has for Prabhupada. Right? What type of a Mahapurusha, what type of a Mahabhagavat the world has seen in recent history. The man who really saved the entire planet from the rigors of Kali Yuga. He practically stopped Kali Yuga from marching, right? And by creating not one or two devotees, but a whole Akshahonis of Vaishnavas, the army of Vaishnavas all over the world in all the 220 odd countries of the world. Right? And therefore, for us to celebrate Krishna Janmashtami, where we pray that same Lord who is the Lord of Ananda, right? It is Janmashtami means we will pray. Mere mana mandir mein aa jao girdhari. Right? When will you please kindly enter into the altar of my heart? We will worship Krishna on the altar of the temple with flowers and decorations and beautiful music and kirtans, and that is the highlight of the festival. Simultaneously, we will also pray that we will not keep the altar of our heart empty. We will invite the Lord to enter in the altar of our own heart also. And that will be our eternal Janmashtami, when we can worship Krishna eternally in the altar of our heart. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.